presentation. If anyone has questions, you're free to ask in the chat. Just our time is a little bit tight, so if we're not able to get to your questions, we really strongly invite you to contact us afterwards. We're very excited about what we're talking about and what we're going to be presenting, and we're very happy to interact further. So this is the agenda of our presentation. We're going to have by Dr. Muktananda, who's an AI expert, is going to give an intro to mental health. Followed by that, I'm going to be giving a talk on studies that have been done on a mind-body approach to mental health. This is connected to and run through Nityananda Hindu University, and I think it's really groundbreaking, and I'm super excited to talk about it. Then Muktananda is going to give an unclutching meditation, which is, this presentation is going to be part lecture and part experiential as well. So you should come out of here both informed and very blissfully relaxed. That will be our goal. If we achieve that, we've met our goals. Then Dr. Aranke, who's a practicing neurologist, who's connected with Nichandeshwara Paramashiva Hindu Temple in Houston, and Dr. Sandeep Pandov, who's a hospitalist connected with Johns Hopkins, Howard County, and Dr. Nirmala Shivaji, who's a practicing anesthesiologist, who's connected with Nityananda Meditation Academy, are going to be giving a talk on neuroscientific approach to mental health, and then a discussion about some lifestyle aspects that support positive mental health and higher consciousness. Then we're going to have another experience of pranayama, like a breathing exercise with Dr. Muktananda. And then he's going to give a lecture called Sustainable Mental Health and AI, talking about how, and then finally I'll give a conclusion and a call to action. And for everyone who is able to stay, we're going to have a kriya, which is a technique for stress reduction. That'll be really nice. So it should be a very enriching and enlightening experience for everyone. And we're very happy to have you here. Briefly, this Science Summit is geared at how we can bring new scientific innovations to help the UN achieve its Sustainable Development Goals. We picked goal number 1, no poverty, number 3, good health and well-being, and number 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions. Really, if you look at the Sustainable Development Goals, enhancing mental health will really help assist in achieving almost all of them. So we feel strongly that the work that we have and what we're bringing forth can help the UN achieve its goals and really bring a lot of positive mental health and well-being globally. So we think it's very perfectly aligned with this summit, and we're extremely grateful to the UN General Assembly for organizing this and for having us here. Just a couple estimates, 2.5 to 5 trillion US dollars annual cost of our concepts of mental health.
Thank you, Dr. Peter Bloomfield. Really appreciate it. And thank you for inviting us to participate in this session. We wanted to give a sense of what we mean by mental health. This definition of mental health is taken straight from the UN to emphasize that mental health is not just short-term, but it's also long-term. And part of our presentation today is going to focus on the long-term, right? So there are 3 aspects to mental health. One is treating after the problem has happened. It really says that mental health needs to start from, needs to address everybody, and it affects the disadvantaged people the most. When we normally think of treating mental health, the traditional approach tends to be very much focused on treatment, which is after the fact and super expensive. And it tends to focus on emotional, still the source of emotions, address the mind-body system as a whole. And Dr. Peter is going to talk about, have an entire session on how to address the mind-body system. Instead of just controlling thoughts, address beliefs. I think transforming our beliefs from life negative cognitions to positive, life positive.
And we do not have these incompletions. It gives us more freedom, more empowerment in the present moment so that we can reach our full potential in the future. A key part of this is having powerful cognitions, which are deep insights about yourself and the world that help you unlock your true potential by breaking free from limiting patterns. Let's look at this a little bit more in the next slide. So next slide, please. See, powerful cognitions go beyond positive thinking. They go towards transforming, affirmed by research. Scientific research has shown that some people can achieve something like this, which no ordinary person would think of themselves as capable of, but we are capable of extraordinary things. So a powerful cognition would be something that alters how you see yourself. Like the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism said, we are not human beings striving for a spiritual experience.
Fields of psychology, philosophy, medicine, sociology. Of course, mental health is covered very widely through this university. This has been reawakened through our chancellor, who I'm going to talk about in the next slide. And this offers thousands of free programs online to the global community. There's a large, diverse team of faculty, campuses all over the world, and many millions of goals and lifestyles for enlightened living. Has revived the sacred arts university that has created 1 million deities for enlightenment ecosystems to use worldwide. And there's more than 16,000 KAILASA ecosystems functioning that provide many services to their members and the communities around them, including Andaran, giving food, growing agriculture, healing service. Briefly, so mind-body. So treating mental health through the mind is very challenging in that it goes beyond the mind. So efforts to powerfully address mental health have started to look at a mind-body system, and we'll be talking about it a little bit later, about things like the biome and the physical structures of how the mind and body interact in the brain and body. This program called Inner Awakening, again organized by Swamiji and run directly by Swamiji, involved activities like yoga, meditation, initiations, which we're going to talk about what that looks like at the EEG level, a sattvic diet, the science of completion, which we'll talk about as well. And participants' blood were drawn before and after pathway called GATA2 and BM1 that was upregulated, which shows up in a follow-up study. So basically, gene expression change means the DNA may be, or may or may not be, but even if it's the same, the way the genes are being expressed is changing remarkably to tamp down inflammation and to support anti-aging. So you should be less stressed and more young, right? That's what we'd expect at the level of the organism. So based on that research, and this one was studied, the first one was published in about a quarter of them, almost a third were triple. So a huge increase in telomerase activity, which we would expect to keep them young at a cellular level, at the genetic level. And then their stem cells were increased in 90% of participants. Stem cells are used as the raw material for replacing damaged cells and structures in the body. So if you have an injury or just the natural aging, stem cells are used to replenish with fresh cells. And so an increase in that is going to mean more use at a cellular level. The last thing they did, this was not published in that article, but it was around that time, they measured mitochondrial metabolism through a test called the MTT assay, which is there was another mind-body therapeutic program. This was called Parameshivoham, and we'll show you at the end. It is available online. But again, it's completely organized and run and attended by our Swamiji, and done through teleconferencing, just much like how this meeting is going right now. So we looked at 4 different scales associated with mental health. One is the DASS, which stands for Depression, Anxiety, Stress Scale. One is WHO5, which looks at overall sense of well-being. One is SF36, which looks at over the depression score. Anything above 10 means depression. 5.7 is the average. For this, the post scores were 2, 2.7, so much lower than average and very far from depression. So this is going to show up as a really great state of well-being. And then we looked at anxiety. Above 8 is considered as an anxious person. The average in the US is around 6, so almost anxious. For the participants, it went basically from 4 to 2. So very, very far from anxious. And then went up to around 80 afterwards. So 80 is a huge sense of well-being, extremely high sense of well-being. Really, really profound. And you can see again, if you look at the line graph and the bar graphs, everything's just going up. So really a profound sense of well-being. 9 total scores are on physical and mental health. Again, the higher is better. We did just a paired analysis for this, and all of them were improved. 5 out of the 9 met statistical significance. And they were also clinically significant. I just included a couple graphs here. The total score, you can see it's a jump. The paired analysis just missed statistical significance. The p-value is 0.51. The trend, I think, speaks for itself.
but the unpaired analysis was statistically significant. So again, we see an increase in mindfulness. So then the question becomes, what are these programs? What is special about these programs that's bringing these really remarkable changes at the cellular level? Frontal lobes meet right at the area where the chakra of the third eye, as per Hindu structure, Hindu spiritual anatomy, right where that is, that area would light up in the brain when you would activate his third eye, which I think is really fascinating. And then on EEG, which measures brain activity, and then again, that a neuroscientist noted, this is a quote, Swamiji demonstrated a remarkable ability to shift between brain states during meditation, samadhi, which is like a superconscious state, connected with the yogic tradition, and healing conditions. It said he is always in a permanent state of meditation. Then this is the one that I think is most fascinating. There's a Dr. William Collins. This was done in 2000. He's a neurofeedback researcher who was looking at EEG. And he noticed when he got a baseline reading, he kept changing the probes and changing the settings, and EEG of initiation looks. When a being who has attained this state of consciousness, which I'm calling as a super consciousness, that's a goal of Vedic traditions, yogic traditions, Hinduism, and they transmit it to someone they're healing or a disciple, and this is extremely unusual. So again, he is doing initiations to his disciples or people visiting his ashram as well. He puts their brain in gamma waves, high amplitude gamma waves, and kind of receptive. Could be a listening state. Many of you guys are in alpha right now. If you close your eyes, you go into heavy alpha waves. And then beta waves would be if you're like taking a quiz, doing a task, if you're at work doing a task that requires your mental activity, it's 13 to 25 hertz. So you'll notice this illustration doesn't have gamma waves. Part of that is because gamma waves, people didn't even know about them until relatively recently, because you normally cannot see them on a normal EEG. They were normally detected with something called a QEEG, where you take a computer and look at in individuals who have a higher baseline, like very low levels I'm talking, that you need a QEEG to detect, they're not going to have dementia, Alzheimer's dementia. And even in animal models, they've showed if they can induce gamma waves, the plaques and tangles that you see at the cellular, they would go into a oneness and compassion meditation. They could go into sustained gamma. That's the only other time that I'm familiar outside of Swamiji and what I'm going to talk about that we've seen sustained gamma. But it was in long-term meditators while they were deep in meditation, be built in people and built in large groups of people over time. So this is raw data of an EEG of a very high-level disciple of Swamiji, and you can see gamma activity is over 30 oscillations between these two lines is 1 second. You can see the whole brain is in gamma. And this person can go on and off at will at any time. While they're talking, while they're doing anything, they're really excited about this. I think it has tremendous significance for humanity on many levels. And we're excited to research it further. So we'll be talking a little more at the end. Anyone who's out there who's listening, if you're interested in this space of consciousness and how to recreate it and measure it and study it, please contact us, because this is a field we're excited to dive into. A lot more research has to be done. Real quickly, the Hindu diaspora, people who have come from Hindu civilizations or backgrounds and spread all over the world, they have extremely low rates of depression, divorce, and really high income, high productivity. And we think it relates to this lifestyle and the residue of this lifestyle in their system. So,
or in a moment of indecision, I don't know what to do, right? And I want to have clarity of mind. Too many thoughts are running in my mind. I just take a moment to practice this meditation where I unclutch from my thoughts. So I want to take you through this meditation, but let's watch this video briefly.
Fight, destroy, play with any thinking process in you. That's it. Do not create, sustain, maintain, fight with, try to destroy. Any way engage. Do not do anything with your internal thought process. Just unclutch. And I tell you, it will develop. In few seconds, you will see you are not thinking process. you are beyond your thinking process. You will sit with yourself in a very matured way, highly matured way. Sit with yourself with highest maturity. Each unclutch from all thought process. Creating, maintaining, destroying, fighting, engaging, all thought process. Unclutch from all thought process. Just sit, be unclutched.
And so forth. So it's an association of thoughts that creates problem. So if you unclutch from each thought as they appear, then you don't associate them, and then they just become random series of thoughts which don't affect you. That's the whole idea. So initially you can use the word unclutch, and but after a little while you can just unclutch without using that word.
Are you able to hear it now?
No.
How about now?
Clutching is your mind gets disengaged. As your mind gets disengaged from thoughts, we tend to listen to the outside sounds more clearly, like bell chiming or people talking, or cars going by. That's a positive sign. But understand that even those are thoughts. And next time you try this, unclutch from those also. And
I will be sharing a little bit about findings on neuroscience in depression, as well as positive findings in lifestyle measures such as yoga and meditation. So next slide. So the brain, and Dr. Panda will be talking about the role of the gut-brain axis. So it turns out not only the brain is important, but the gut, in a sense, is the second brain. It has a very extensive nervous system called the enteric nervous system, and there's a communication between the brain and the digestive system, which is two-way, which is really important in mental health. And it turns out lifestyle, the prefrontal cortex, which is really important for attention, planning, judgment, impulse control, the orbital frontal cortex, which is important in regulating our emotions. And it's not only about us, but it's how we bond with other people, how we interact with others. So social attachments are gone. But it turns out certain practices, especially yoga and meditation, can actually lead to neurogenesis. We're actually generating new brain cells, and this can happen throughout the lifespan. So this in itself is like very groundbreaking information. And it turns out yoga and meditation, which costs nothing, can in fact regenerate areas of the brain. So they've looked at, for example, in yoga practitioner brain cells in yoga practitioners. Very interestingly, there's an area of the brain called amygdala, and this is involved in processing fear pathways. This is sometimes called it's a important part of our very primitive brain attention. And controlling the autonomic nervous system, such as the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, parietal cortex, hippocampus, temporal lobe, anterior cingulate striatum. These are also involved in emotional processing, some of these areas. Very interestingly, the prefrontal cortex is more active in practitioners of meditation. And one thing that happens when the prefrontal cortex is activated is an important brain chemical called glutamate is released. And this then sends a signal brain cells or neurons. So very important for as we age, it can have a very promising effects and protective effects. Also, other studies have been done looking at the brain chemicals, which are important in regulating our emotion and mood. At baseline, meditators have a higher level of serotonin, which you may have heard about. Serotonin is the brain chemical which is important for helping us to have a sense of well-being. And this level is reduced in people who are depressed. But meditators at baseline have a higher level of serotonin. And it, in fact, further increases after a meditation session, which is very interesting. They also tend to have a lower level of norepinephrine. This is a brain chemical associated with anxiety. And they've been shown to have increased amounts of dopamine as well after. And looked at a brain chemical called GABA, which is very important for regulating our mood and reducing anxiety. And they showed there was a significant improvement in the amount of anxiety and depression that they were experiencing before and after, to the point where many were no longer depressed.
Word healthy gut microbiome. So before we talk about that, we should know what gut-brain axis is. So basically the brain is connected to the gut by a vagus nerve. So what it means is what happens in the gut affects what happens in the brain. So using the anxiety and depression. So this is one impact. And the second impact it does is that it improves the bowel movements. So basically what it does is, since it is high in fiber, so people get relief from constipation. And so there is less of inflammation in the gut lining. So it reduces all the inflammatory bowel diseases and as well as the autoimmune diseases. So in nutshell, basically, the healthy microbiome.
And then a discussion, so you can go very quickly.
Oh. Are we waiting for the video?
We're waiting for you to quickly go over this slide.
Okay, yeah, so inflammation is higher in some people with depression,
biomemory. So when the animals are killed, they leave a tremendous pain, suffering. They are not going to say, let the whole world be blissful and die. No. They leave so much of suffering and die that gets recorded in that muscle memory and biomemory. When you eat that, you will fall into depression for a small reason. Your husband late from the office for 5 minutes is enough to make him as a late husband.
Summary, we've seen that the brain physiology, through functioning, structure, chemistry, and gut health are crucial for mental health. And lifestyle changes are critical and sustainable. And objective scientific information now is available showing that yoga and meditation actually expands parts of the brain which are vital for mental health. And the plant-based diet also improves that brain-gut chemistry to improve mental health. So there's various lifestyle practices in Hinduism, which Swamiji is reviving and promoting. And he's unique in promoting some of these lifestyles, such as Nirahara Samyama, and the importance of certain herbs or aushadas for detoxification of the body.
But through Swamiji, I came to know about Nirahara Samyama, which is really a step above that. So essentially, it comprises of taking a liquid diet for almost like 3 weeks. And I was amazed by its benefits. What I realized was, in order to digest the solid food, it used.
But this was something completely different. So I definitely experienced very similar to Dr. Pandav. Of course, there was weight loss, but that feeling of lightness and energy was definitely there. And it turned out it really wasn't as difficult as one thought. After the first day or two, it actually was not difficult to sustain. And definitely the mind was quieter. People around me noticed. I mean, even your skin will start to glow. You will even appear younger.
Every summer, allergic reactions. When I go to the garden, even the lawn, I'm really very bad allergy. So I had to take antihistamine all the time. And it actually affected my work style as well. So it was, I think, about 12 years ago, Swamiji introduced the Nirahara Samyama, 12, 13 years ago. The first time I did the Nirahara Samyama, after that, it's completely gone. I don't take any antihistamines. I'm completely
12 components, 12 aspects of yoga, which is very unique. And of course, other yogas are also part of this lifestyle. And so thank you so much, you guys, for this discussion. We could discuss so much longer. We've met some time constraints. So we're going to move on to the next session, which is a pranayama breathing exercise. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
But we can try a couple of pranayama techniques that can work for you. And these are simple techniques that can cool us down, make us reduce the anxiety, de-stress us. And so I'm going to teach you a couple of pranayama techniques, which will be actually useful later when we go further in this program. Exhale through your nose. You will see that instantly you will feel that the feeling of coolness in your chest. It really cools you down to the point you'll actually feel your body temperature go down by a couple of degrees. The deeper you do the inhalation, the deeper the cooling happens. And you will actually feel it in your chest, in the middle of your chest. If you don't feel it, try breathing and breathing out. That's one cycle. Do it 21 times. It's very powerful. The next pranayama I'm going to teach you is called Anapana. It's very simple. It's breathing in through one nostril and breathing out through the other nostril. So you start off by holding your thumb, pressing your right nostril with your thumb, and then breathing in through only your left nostril. And once you've taken a deep breath, close the left nostril and then breathe out through. If breathing out makes you feel stressed because I'm asking you to breathe out twice as long, you don't have to do it. Just breathe out till the count of 6. Right now, I'm going to only teach you the humming part. Just close your eyes, take a deep breath, and then hum deeply and intensely without stopping. As long as possible, just hum. And then when your humming stops, take a quick breath, let the natural breath happen, and then start the humming again. So for example, it sounds like this. while you're doing this, for a more intense hum, you can actually close your ears also. Like put your fingers on your earlobes and close them, and that will intensify the hum because the sound hums inside your head. And very soon your entire head, your chest, your body will start humming along with you like this. This humming is a very intense exercise. Great. So these are things you can practice pretty much anywhere. And these are all revived by Swamiji. Swamiji has taken all these ancient techniques and then put them in modern contexts. In fact, search for these techniques along with Swamiji's name. You will see a whole bunch of what are called kriyas. Kriyas are a combination of visualization, yoga postures, and also breathing techniques. When done together, they actually have very powerful medicinal, sorry, I won't say medicinal, it's a very powerful effect in cooling the body, right? So we're going to talk about kriyas at the end of this whole session. Wait till then to hear a little bit more, but you can such resources. At least one thing that everyone needs, like people need a spiritual solution for mental health. And if you think about it, an everyday companion, which is easily available at their fingertips to handle emotions on a daily basis, but maybe even answer bigger spiritual questions, right? And one thing that everybody or most people have at their fingertips are low-cost phones nowadays. Probably can get access to these services. It can be as easy as accessing mail or WhatsApp, for example. And the beautiful thing is conversational AI can actually help address a wide variety of mental health needs. I want to say for sure here that AI cannot replace human beings. We still need people. And we need AI to address a few challenges, like address privacy, make trust and safety front and center. These are challenges that we are the science of happiness, as taught by Hinduism. So this Nityananda.ai has the entire access to his teachings and the science of happiness and the science of enlightenment as taught by Hinduism. And it can answer questions from that perspective. So with that, let me show you a screenshot. I didn't have time to go through extensive demo because it can take time. But here I'm going to show you a demo. This is like a video that I captured on my real demo. I captured it for, right? So it uses these principles to help walk through someone who thinks they are a bad mother because they are spending time at work and not being able to come home. It talks about how being a bad mother or bad wife only arises from separation between these two responsibilities and understanding that these two are both parts of you. And if you understand it from in a self-reflective way, how to introspect into the source of where this challenge comes from. Why do you feel unimportant? Why do you think your sister should do what you want to do, right? And encourages open communication, understanding that techniques for de-stressing, and it chooses techniques from scriptures and shares them with you. Anyway, that's the quick demo. Let's move on to the next section. Okay, now I hand it over to Dr. Prema Kodanraman to talk about women's issues.
Health issue every year. Women are diagnosed with anxiety and depression twice as men. 25.7% of young women report having self-harming at some point. If you look at here from 2008 to 2020 on emotional labor. So the causes are different. Now, when we look at the modern day treatments of mental illness, women seeking treatment to treat their mental illnesses are increasing, like 55.8%. It's a pretty expensive program, spending about $104 billion US dollar. And many patients either they use medications, cannot be compliant and quit, or they become more and more dependent on medication, but the end results are not permanent cure and it doesn't address the mental disorders, and usually it's only the symptom relief. The $1 trillion brain drain that's not sufficiently addressing the mental self. And social stigma around mental illnesses also prevent people to seek the treatment. So by knowing the different reasons for women's mental illness and also the available treatments are not that effective, let's learn from KAILASA a holistic approach with the second one by His Divine Holiness, Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nityananda Paramashivam, his presidential address on November 7th, 2021. Very powerful words about women. Women, by their very DNA, have the capacity and groundedness to hold an policies are mapped to the Manuvati Dharma Shastra, and Swamiji revived matrilineal society to empower women here. So the political empowerment, Paramashiva declares in Atharva Veda, women should take part in the legislative chambers, put their views on forefront. So women hold 80% of leadership positions in KAILASA. Dollars have been invested in women's health at KAILASA. This is very impressive. And again, a spiritual wellness, a core indigenous cultural aspect of Hinduism is being revived as part of KAILASA by Swamiji is the mother worship. The matrilineal society that used to exist in ancient Hindu nations. It's very important to know in KAILASA, women are worshipped and revered and have a secure sexual harassment-free ecosystem due to its zero tolerance policy against sexual harassment to find employment. KAILASA's Ankita program is an educational program. So it's mostly educational child and women to empower them. And Nityananda's Women Foundation
system. And it has nothing to do with your gender. That's the important thing. The gender, male or being female, nothing to do with it. It is something to do with your inner quality. Only the feminine energy need to be awakened. Only that can be called as sacred. Let me define the sacred feminine. Understand? The extraordinary creativity. Creativity will never be possessive.
And none of my patients need narco, and it's his initiation prevent and treat all kinds of mental disorders, not only for women, it's for everyone. It relieves unresolved emotions and past traumas, building resilience and improving healthy relationship and leads to an empowered life. And there is a short video. Listen from his powerful words and transforming message to all. Thank you.
For their food and paying the bills. No, maybe it is true for the people who are sitting in KAILASA and enjoying the happy, free life. All kinds of thought currents will come inside. Sit, have a little patience, listen. Listen to yourself and start pinning down precisely what all resistance, anger, fear, guilt, powerlessness, what all is getting this pattern, start completing. You will see me appearing in the mirror and making you completely complete and making you manifest powerful cognitions and powers. Till I appear in the mirror, continue completion. And I tell you, I will really appear in the mirror and make you complete and make you manifest powers. When I say, I mean. Just sit in front of the mirror and declare simple integrity to me. sit in front of mirror and start completing all those patterns and incidents, root incidents, everything. Let all the incompletions melt down, be completely burnt away.
Year-old experience mental disorders, and another alarming number is 13% of this is a global burden of disease in this age group. And suicide is the fourth leading cause of death among 15 to 29-year-olds. And 296 million people globally, education system, which, and it can be sustainable development. Can we stay on the previous slide? In Hindu education system, basic tools to awaken knowledge are taught, and other consciousness-based approaches, which were discussed earlier, practiced on a regular basis, including yoga, meditation, and sattvic diet. Swamiji had given details how this Hindu education system promotes freedom to explore and be creative, and not force children into strict curriculum, and nor evaluate them. Copy phase, students are first asked to copy 12 images of various complexity. This copy phase reflects the student's visual motor intelligence and maturity. In second phase, recall phase, which is recall phase, students need to remember all the images of previously drawn without seeing them. The recall phase reflects students' visual recall intelligence. And the tests were performed on 75 students, and the results showed an average percentile rank of 95.7 for copy phase and 89.91 for recall. 83% of students were 1 to 6 years ahead of actual age, and 53% students were 2 to 6 years ahead. So that's really impressive numbers. So this is small studies, of course.
After the conclusion, we're going to have a kriya, which we invite people to stay. It's a relaxation and stress reduction kriya. If you have to go on for any other UN sessions or anything else, Science Summit sessions or anything else, you're free to go, but we'd invite everyone else to be able to stay. But just briefly, it's our conclusion that this mind-body model that we do in mental health, we invite you to contact us for collaboration for how to incorporate this approach to traditional education and for further research. And then, of course, the Parameshivoham program is a program that I referred to that showed profound positive effects on mental health, reduction in depression, anxiety.
A combination of yoga positions, yoga asanas, breathing techniques, and visualization. And Swamiji shared 108 kriyas for a variety of diseases and disorders to alleviate, use in conjunction with other approaches. And this video will introduce
in different ways.
The human body has 7 circuits: blood circuit, circulatory system, nerve circuit, the nervous system, prana circuit, the respiratory system, digestive circuit, excretory circuit, reproductive circuit, and energy circuit. Of these circuits, the energy circuit is governed by the Kundalini energy. Though not spoken much by the medical science, but elaborate references have been given for the flow to resume. Similarly, when there is a block in the energy circuit in the body, there is impedance to energy flow forward, and it results in disease in that particular organ. The Kundalini,
the wiring gets properly aligned. After that, the Kumbhaka starts pumping the energy into that circuit. See, putting your body in certain asana makes the circuit blockage free. The circuit becomes perfect. But only through the completely, if you take, it may take 10 years for you to cure the disease. But mixed properly in certain combination,
It removes the disease in 2 days, in one dosage.
The kriyas help to restore the energy imbalance, and which results in healing diseases. Kriyas help to heal.
It's called mantra. Externally, when you listen, it's called chanting. So, mantra, internal verbalization. Fifth, chanting, external, the sound you are hearing. And sixth, now I am adding.
Shall I start the music and then you'll announce the kriya?
Yeah, I can just walk everybody through the kriya. It's actually, the kriya has 3 steps. It's a kriya for hypertension, which also relieves. Do we have that in the slide?
This is the last slide, Mukta.
Okay. I think we need to bring that picture. If somebody can add that picture to the slide, to the next slide, that'll be great. So you have to sit in a special posture. It is not very difficult. It is, you sit with your knees drawn to your chest. Now we're just going to put them all together into one long kriya meditation. That's super simple. So let's get started. Peter, you can play the music. And let's start by doing Nadi Shodhana, which is close your eyes, breathe out through your right nostril. Then breathe in through your right nostril and then breathe out through your left. Do this 21 times. Now, lie down. With the intense, you will feel the intense humming, coolness all over your body. Just lie down. open your eyes slowly. You can pause the music, Peter. You can find out for yourself. So I hope you can practice this meditation before going to sleep every day. It's very powerful, not only in de-stressing, but also in performing to your life's best.
United Nations going forward. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming, and have a beautiful rest of your evening.
Thank you so much.
Recording stopped.
Thank you.